shuffling in our seats. Are we getting ready for the next session? Have we all had lunch?
Yes. I think so.
All right, folks, could I have your attention up here, please? Okay. We're getting ready to start our third session of the day with the beautiful Debbie Haddock, who has been a close friend and colleague for, was it 15 years, something like that, for a long time. And of course, she's been in the industry well before that as well. She's really creative, very talented, and lots of fun, and she's got a heap to share with you. Yes, David?
Does she know any embarrassing stories about you?
I'm sure she wouldn't dare share them.
You jumped ahead.
I don't embarrass easy anyway, so we're fine.
That's all right. I'll speak to you a little bit later.
All right, guys, so I'm going to hand you over to the beautiful Debbie, and let's go into the next hour. Lots of questions. She will have some interactive stuff. Partake. All right,
Thank you very much for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm really honoured. I do what I do because I love it and I'm passionate about it. And if I've got any knowledge that you'd like to share, I'm willing to share it with you. So a bit about me. I'm a mum, a grandmother. I've run my own business for 15 years, and before that I was in the sales industry. I managed a speakers bureau where we manage speakers and trainers, and previous to that I spent 20 years in the motor industry. So a really diverse industry. Basically it all comes back to working with people. So whether I was car industry, selling cars, I was probably one of the first females to sell motor vehicles. I got the largest contract with Mitsubishi to sell trucks and got the name of Mother Trucker. So way back, a lot of people skills, and I think that set me up for the rest of my life. Learning how to work with people and to communicate and one-on-one. I'm not a public speaker, but I do work one-on-one with clients. So that's really set me up. Everything I've done has got that base to it, whatever I do. So understanding people and working with them and making something special for them. So in the event side of things, I've been doing it for 15 years. The first 5 years I was in partnership, partner of course, and then for the last 10 out on my own. It's an interesting industry. There's never 2 days the same, but I love it. You never know what you're going to get. Every time that phone calls, you might have to be reactive, whatever it is, you just go with it. The biggest thing I think you can do is plan and get as ahead as you possibly can with everything you do, so you can have the time to be reactive when those phone calls happen. So what I thought we'd just start with, on your seats there is just a sheet. Just for spend a few minutes, if you go around and see if you can find people who have something and try and tick off that list on your sheet. So just spend a few minutes going around asking people questions.
Okay.
You have to pick
Do you
one
like to
person
play computer games?
Anybody. And if you get lots of people do the same thing, great.
There you
lots of
go. Have you
tips.
won? Okay, no. Have you ridden a jet ski?
No, just tick, and if you got more people, that more the merrier.
Do you like McDonald's? I don't know. Did you watch Sesame Street growing up? Yeah, same. Have you been to Israel? No, I haven't. Do you like to take selfies? I think you'll be well, I grew up in New South Wales, so probably not. Okay. Have you experienced that embarrassing moment in public? Yeah. Yeah, I think we all have. What's your favourite job? It's not like an alabaster, is it? Do you like coffee? Thank you. There you go. So that's 1, 2, 3. I think the goal is Okay, so I have ridden a jet ski, watched Sesame Street, take selfies, had an embarrassing moment, and I need a pen.
Yes. Christine. Have you brought your PJs out? Okay, that's right.
I like you sitting here on the
Who's
bed.
ready to get Who's watched Sesame Street grown up? Anybody with kids? I've been to Alice Springs, Rock. Teresa loves taking selfies.
So do I.
Nobody's grown up where I grew up. Embarrassed to Who likes Anybody like red?
Who likes green?
Who likes blue? Just choose a random colour.
Has anybody stolen a jet ski? I used to live in Alice Springs. Nobody's one's from Washington. You'll believe it. I can see there's a talk. See, gets less than 20. I was born in Dallas Cowboys.
Melbourne, Brisbane, grand final. Melbourne, Brisbane. Queensland won't get it this week. Used to, not anymore. Yes, I went to Alice Springs.
My favourite colour's black, so where'd you grow up?
Where did I grow up? All over the place. Started Brisbane, Ipswich, Gundawindi. Gundawindi, yeah. My grandfather used to be Gundawindi.
Okay. Now I'm just going to get you to pop that aside. We will come back to that a little bit later on. Just we'll park it for a bit. So just to get the mind going and people chatting.
I do.
Now someone did ask me before how I got passionate about events. I was actually really quite thrown into it. I was the manager with the Speakers Bureau and working on that. I guess it's in the events industry, managing high profile speakers. But a friend of mine said, I need someone to help me grow my business. She was doing Christmas parties and she was wanting to grow the business but didn't have the resources to do it. So we joined forces and created a business, and that's where it all went from. I taught her a lot of my skills. She came from the hotel industry. She taught me her skills. So between the two of us, we covered a lot. and it was really great. It was a really, really good. So that's how, it was just something that I guess I've always loved doing it. I always used to go out of my way for parties and things, so it just expanded on that. When you're organising events, you know, there's lots of great fun, different things to do. I guess first time, who's been to a conference? Yeah? Now, what things have really stood out to you when you've been to a conference? Anything in particular? Yeah.
That everybody's basically got the same agenda.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Styling.
The styling?
The way it's all set out.
Yeah, I was going to say settings. They're all usually different.
Yep,
The
absolutely.
different sessions you can have during the day.
Yeah, the content of it. Yeah, that's real. There's so many different aspects to a conference. So, you know, when you're looking at setting up, a client will come to you and say, look, I want to do a conference. The first question is, why? What is the purpose of holding this conference? There's a lot of money that goes into it, and you really want to know, outcomes clients want to make sure they get big bang for their dollar, and they're accountable as well. Money's a lot tighter these days, so you have to be really, really accountable. So you've really got to watch that you not understand totally why you're doing it. If you're trying to get the team together, to work together better, maybe times are changing and people need to come onto the same page. You know, there's a lot of redundancies out there at the moment. They bring people in to give them confidence that yes, we're going strong, we had to trim to move forward and grow for the future. So there's lots of different reasons. And then you have the conferences that open out, they're not internal conferences, they open out to, you know, you have franchises, so you're bringing in franchises from everywhere. So they're more about getting the next year ahead, planning for that year. This is where we're going, and getting all of that information across and motivating people to do that. So sourcing that, finding your purpose, and then you sort of say, okay, where do we go? So finding a venue that's suitable to what you need, but logistically too, where are the people coming from? Are they all from southeast Queensland, or are they coming from the eastern side of the country, or right around the country, international? So you need to look at that and look at your demographics of the people. You know, are we dealing with a younger age group? Like if you're conferencing for McDonald's, your average manager is 19 or 20 years old, so you need to work on the level and think of them for their experience, not necessarily where you come from. So you need to be really aware of who's attending the conference and where they're coming from to make it logistically viable for everybody, and, you know, to make it relevant for everybody. Yeah, same thing, educate and inform. Having the content of the conference is really, really important. So knowing why you're doing it, but then what you fill it with is really, really important as well. You know, you can do as much fluff and everything else, but without the content, without that learning, people think, oh, well, that was nice, but, you know, so you really want to make sure you get the good content. Same thing, suits the venue. You've got to make sure you've got the right breakout rooms, so you really need a structure of the event before you source the venue, because that way you can say, yep, we've got so many breakouts, a plenary, which is the main session. We might want to do some team building, so we might need some space for that. Gala dinners, whatever, I call it speed dating, networking. So there's a whole range of different things we can do. So you really look at venues to suit each particular event. Same as Christmas parties. They're so totally different as well. So that's a different thing to a conference. Sit down, stand up, so you really have to work in specifics for that as well. Clear objectives, what you want to achieve. You know, if you want people to learn what the key thing you want them to learn. You can, now with technology, and I'm the first one to admit I'm not technical at all. That's why I have the Tony Nobles in my world, people like that. With technology, the apps and everything else, for a conference, for events, you know, people can be interactive these days, get their feedback straight away. You know, you have an app designed, it's got where they need to be, what sessions on when, they've got the papers of the presenters, you can have a whole range, as much as you want to put onto these apps now. So everything's there. So people can connect, they don't get lost, and think, oh yeah, and you can send reminders, you can send SMS messages to them, look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, or whatever it is, or don't forget, session starts in 15 minutes time. There's so many things available now with technology that makes it, most people do have a mobile phone of some sort to make that, connectivity happen. That's what you're connecting and interacting, doing different things. Like we just did a little thing, we haven't gone into that why, but getting people talking, getting people interacting. So setting up of the room, the layout is really important. If you have a conference and you want to brainstorm some content or a strategy or whatever it is, if you're set like this is a classroom set, this is theatre setup. Classroom, does everyone know the different setups for conferencing?
Look at them, can't remember the names.
Okay, so this setup with just chairs is theatre. This is the theatre setup. When you have chairs like this with long tables in front is classroom. When you're in a dinner and you've got the rounds or the ovals and 10 seats around the table is called dinner banquet setup.
Then you've got cocktail with round tables, stand up.
That's a stand up, yep. And then you've got a cabaret option, which is what I use a lot for conferencing, which is your round table, but do 8 seats to it and leave the 2 ends open. So no one's got the back to the stage. So you're not twisting your neck and everything like that. When you sit in conference all day, that's the last thing you want to happen. So you're thinking and mindful of, you're putting yourself in your delegate shoes and thinking this is, what makes the best experience for them. So cabaret is how I work a lot for most of my clients because you've got room to write, you've got room around the table. If a topic is put out, okay, let's talk about this for 5 minutes, you can brainstorm in your own little pods already. You don't have to move people. So it works logistically and it's easy for people to take notes, but it's also interactive for people if you want to talk about a topic or anything like that as well. So there's lots of different setups, but yeah, they're the standards, the theatre, the classroom, the cabaret, and then the dinner setup. And then at night time if you do a cocktail, which is a stand-up function. Another thing, if you keep doing events for a client, what did you do last year? What worked, what didn't work, what needs tweaking, so you can keep taking it and raising the bar. So they keep saying, last year was fantastic. Think, okay, what are we going to do next year? The thing with that, you just do it a little bit different. You don't have to do it way over the top better. You just do it different, so each experience is different. So it might be just changing the format of the day. It might be having fun with the catering or something like that. So just doing things a little bit different will change that experience. When also great AV, Tony's spoken to you about that. No conference survives without your audio visual. You can have everything else, but if your AV is not working right, no one can hear, no one can learn, and it falls flat. I've seen laptops go up in smoke. I've seen all sorts of different things because technology is technology, it's a machine, but have your backups. But AV, it's important having the right people and qualified people looking after the technology because it's so important. It's a deal breaker for events. Whether it's for a conference or for a gala dinner, getting the sound right for the bands or whatever, or keying in for the gala awards, whatever it is, that person is the key person that runs that night through. So it's really, really important to keep that happening. Plan early. The earlier you can plan, the better. I mentioned before, I'm already working on 2017 conferences. So the bigger the event, the less spaces there are for them. So you have to, if you want a choice of the venue, you have to get in early and plan early. Same with Christmas. I normally book a lot of maybe Christmas parties in this year for next year. So before we even got through Christmas this year, we've locked in the venues. Because in Brisbane, there's only a handful of big venues. A lot of the smaller parties you can massage around different venues, but for the big ones, if you want your choice venue, you get in early. So planning is really important and takes the pressure off. If you can be organised and plan and be onto everything, then it just takes the pressure off those last few weeks when it's like, I'm going to pull out my hair. and all the things happen and someone doesn't this or whatever it is, you've got time to breathe. So that planning is such a big, big part of it. Grand events. There's just as much that goes into a gala dinner as there is for a conference. There's a lot of detail. So all of the details in lighting to, you know, the entertainment, to the run sheet, to the food, to, you know, invitations, like it's exactly the same as doing a conference, but just in a different time frame. So yeah, there's a lot, but planning is the key. The bombshell. I love it when you get the phone call. The client says, I need help to do a conference or a gala dinner or a function. Okay, yep, happy to help. When is it? Oh, next week. Right, you know, and how many people? Oh, right. Have you got a venue? No. So if you can plan and work, and it just runs in your work life. If you're as organised as you can be with your work, you can deal with things like this when it happens. Like you can just, okay, stop, get onto it, and be reactive with it. So it gives you more breathing space. So, and it does happen, you know, or client will ring and say, speaker, Misty's plane, I need someone else emergency for a spot at lunchtime, or things just happen. So it always does. It's having people around you that you know you can draw on when you need to, when the chips are down, to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need a hand, this is what I need, can you help? So building relationships with people within the industry are really, really good, because when you need somebody, you can call on them. When they need you, they can call on you. So it's really important. Yes?
Sorry, Debbie. Have you ever been put in a situation where you've had to take over a event from another planner?
No, I haven't. I have taken more from a client. Like quite often, my clients can use me as much or as little as they need. And quite often with a lot of corporates, because predominantly it's corporate work I do, they have in-house people, and then sometimes the in-house people lose the plot, get sick, don't do what's expected, and hey Deb, can you fix, this is where we're at. So I've picked up that way, but not from another event organiser. Yeah, sure.
Do you actually charge percentage, or do you charge an hourly rate or a flat rate?
Depending on the client, I'm really flexible, because I do quite a lot with charities. So I have a special charity rate for charities. I have a rate for corporates, and depending on what services they need. So, you know, if they're wanting me on site, like, because I do the registrations as well if clients want registrations. So just depending on what they need. And what services they need, as to whether it's a flat fee or whether most of them I just charge an hourly rate.
So how did you actually get to that stage so that you're not robbing yourself, but at the same time frame you're still staying competitive?
I'm just trying to think. Getting to that, I guess a lot of years experience, and the business started off originally, we just got paid a commission from the venues. Now, and that changes, it's a cycle of things. They're in and they're out and they're all over, so you can't always budget on that. So then we sort of looked at, okay, what else do we do, because we're putting the time out, hours and everything in. And we just went back to clients and said, look, this is what we can do, this is what I can do free of charge, because we're getting paid a commission. All of these other services, we'll just charge an hourly rate. And they were really happy with that. And I charge a rate to be on site and to run the events, a daily rate. And whether that's a 4-hour event or it's, you know, a whole, like, quite often I'm on site for a big conference, I probably get 3 hours sleep a night. So you're working the first one up, the last one to bed. So it doesn't matter how many hours you spend, I just charge a day rate.
So how would you actually, what advice would you give anyone here that's in this room wanting to start their own business?
Yep.
How to actually work out how to negotiate on wages or you know,
rates. Yep. Well, it's a matter of talking to your clients and understanding what they need. Ask them who they used before. Ask her questions. That's the thing. Ask a lot of questions. If someone's come to you and say, hey, give me a proposal to do an event, give me your costs, ask the questions. Ask who have you used before, what rates have you, ask them. And most of them will tell you, and it can get a bit of a ballpark. I don't really, at the end of the day, suss out what anyone else is charging or anything else. This is, I put it down as my rates, and this is my, what's in here, you know, the experience. And people, once they've used me, I don't advertise anywhere. It's all word of mouth and referral. So at the end of the day, it comes back to me. I'm as good as my last job. So I have to make that experience for every client, whether it's a little experience or a big one, whatever it is. Hey, we can't live without Deb, you know? Yep.
If someone came to you and said they were looking to do some, like, get work experience, and were willing to volunteer their time and help out with events with you just as work experience, would you take someone on?
Yeah, just depending on the skill, what sort of understanding, and depending on the events.
Yep.
As to, and what extra hands I need as such. I just did a conference for a whole week down at Twin Towns. We had 500 for the day and 700 every night. So it was huge, and I was running. I did over 20,000 steps a day. We were going flat out. So, but it just depends on if I need extra hands and things like that. So I work as a solo, but I have people I bring in with expertise skills in things that I'm not an expert in. I'm not an expert in everything.
Yep.
I love creating and getting, and I love people. I love that client relationship side of those relationships, but I bring in the AV experience. So I bring in the graphic designers to do the graphic design. I've got the printers doing, so I don't do all of those. I just bring them all in together for what I need.
Do you find you're still learning with every event is different?
Absolutely.
As you said, you're always learning something new?
Absolutely. Yep. People are different. The demographics of the groups are all different. So, you know, and the things that they need and awareness is, so it's understanding, that's such an important thing, is to understand each group. You know, like whether you've got a group of engineers or a group of nurses or a group of executive assistants or whatever it is, or real estate people. You know, they all have different mindsets and what they like and what they don't. And it's understanding those groups, and that all comes with experience, and you just learn. The day you stop learning is the day you die. You know, you never know everything, but you can always learn something better and a little smarter and do it smarter each time. You think, oh, I won't do that next time, I'm going to fine tune this. So you're always learning. You never stop. And because clients will keep you on your toes as well. So which is cool. Same thing, being adaptable, thinking on your feet. With all events, things happen. As much as you can plan and detail and all of that side of things, thinking on your feet is so important because it happens. You know, people are, someone's sick, someone's lost this, or like it. It's just, people will come to you with absolutely everything. If you're on site running an event, you will be everything to them. You're like the parent for that time. You know, I've lost this, or I can't get this, or I've left something behind, or you name it. Your reaction, and you just look after them because it all comes back. If you can help people out and make their experience better, it'll all come back. The client's happy, they'll be happy. They'll tell the clients how happy they are, and the client will come back to you again next year. So everybody's a client when you're on site. So yeah. So just doing things, we can, when you conference or meet or any type of event, you can sit in a room, it can be the same, you know, and the experience, what you do in that room can really change what people take away. If people learn more while they're having fun, if they're interactive with things, they've got more happening, so people will learn, and you just create different things too. We've done events where we have colouring pencils in the centre of the table, and chocolates lollies are always a hit in the centre of the tables, you know, and get people to use colours as their, like, that's such a simple thing, but it is great. People really enjoy it. It's doing different things. So just, people come in to expect a blank room, tables and chairs, but they come in and got something different in the room. You think, oh wow, someone's gone to a lot of effort for me, you know, so that interpretation of it is really, it's great because people don't expect it. And if people receive something they don't expect, they actually sit back and enjoy and feel good about it.